Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Hope Eternal for Stargrave from Osprey Games by my buddy Joseph A. McCullough that they kindly sent me as a complimentary copy to review. So, what is Hope Eternal? Well, if you are a fan of Joe's writing, you probably remember the expansion books as they kind of went forward for things like Frostgrave. There was one very popular expansion called Thaw of the Lich Lord, which was basically a big, long, extended D&D campaign. You can go back and see all those videos. Mike from Epic Tech Studios and Owen and I played through them all. It was a ton of fun, and it's a big. It's basically a soap opera, right? It was like a fantasy epic. This is a space opera. This is Joe's, like, I want to write a D&D campaign, but I can't DM it, so I'm gonna write 10 narrative link scenarios telling a story going forward. And so before I get started with the review, I'm gonna give you the main thrust of the story. I'm not gonna give you any of the specifics because obviously part of the fun of running this with your gaming group is that you get a bit of surprise in the detail. So I'm gonna give you the broad strokes, but not too much. Now, the second thing is that you should know about this is a solo and cooperative expansion. So whether you are playing Stargrave, not often with your friends, you want to play it yourself, you can play it with a single crew, or you can play it cooperatively with up to 2 players, maybe 3. It's got rules for 2, you could stretch it into 3, where you basically take half crews, and there's some rules for designing that. And you have like an altered turn structure for going back and forth and playing through. And then it gets an expanded sort of creature rule set so that you have the ability to have them act a little more intelligently because there's no thinking opponent on the table. And then finally you have the actual like big old campaign itself, and then a bunch of new special rules for like being underwater, giant radioactive environments, tons of new technology, a new bestiary, and new attributes for like the monsters and stuff in the game. So let's jump right in. So solo and cooperative play. So the big thing about this is creating crews. If you're going to play this solo, you just play with a standard crew, but you might want to make a new crew specifically for the campaign because if you're not used to playing against an AI opponent, certain things aren't going to be very useful. So like cancel power, some of the the powers that your captain and your first mate can have, they don't do a lot when there's no opposing player. If you're not, you actually make a half-size crew, and you don't actually get a captain. You get a first mate that you can then level up 7 times, and who has 6 gear slots. And then finally, you get to take 200 points worth of other crew, of which 2 can be specialists, and you get 4 models total. So there's a nice sort of like, it's almost like making an Inquisitor's Warband. That's what I would look at it like. If I was going to play this, I'd have my little Inquisition Warband. They'd have a little Inquisition Warband, and we'd team up and do stuff. Or you can use existing crews, but again, think about what level you're at and kind of, kind of consider the idea that it might not be purpose fit for like a campaign of this type. Then you get your turn, so slightly altered game sequence. You got captain phase, first mate phase, then the creature phase happens, and the soldier phase. They've reduced the amount of group activates from 3 to 2. And then if you lose your captain or first mate, you still get to play in the phases and can activate 2 soldiers instead. So one of the nice things is, even if you don't have the person in a normal game that would allow you to group activate, the people that could group activate with you still activate at that time. And it kind of means that the creatures aren't always jumping all over you and attacking you, which is it's funny, I wouldn't have thought to put that in there, but Joe clearly playtested it solo a little bit and was like, oh, if the first mate dies, then you're just screwed because you get piled on and piled on and piled on. You're always going last all of a sudden. That was a good catch, basically, that it needed a little bit of extra oomph to keep them in there. Beautiful art in this one. I really like the artist. I actually really like that robot. And then creature action priority, so a little bit more intelligent AI for the creatures, and an altered post-game for your experience totals based on the fact you don't have an opponent. So 30 for playing the game, 30 if the crew has at least one figure reduced to 0 health during the game, so somebody died, and for each power successfully activated by the captain or first mate, up to 100. And then the rest of the rules. So that's basically it for like the restructuring for playing solo and cooperative. All right, so the campaign overview. So Hope Eternal, it's very space opera-y. Basically, if you're not familiar with the Stargrave universe, what you have in this universe is a galaxy where like there was a giant galactic republic, it collapsed, pirate fleets basically, the last war is what they call it, where it all collapsed. Pirate fleets basically become the new superpowers, and they just roam the galaxy, destroying everything. Nothing's ever allowed to civilize or settle down, and everything that's left is, it's all a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, sort of like decrepit and old, and the future looks run down. That's basically the idea. Now, you're a crew. You stumble along some intelligence, you get hired for a job, you stumble along some intelligence, and you realize 2 things. One, two of these massive like marauding pirate fleets are actually secretly getting together for a parlay. And where they're doing it, there is a derelict space station that used to study supernova events as like a weapon technology during the last war that's been like mothballed and decrepit. And there's an opportunity. Basically, if you are like a plucky band of rebel heroes, you could go set off one of these supernova events and take out two of these like complete like Scourge of the Galaxy pirate fleets in one go, and maybe create some peace and civilization in this area where they are known to roam. So it's a bit Bothans in the Death Star, which is cool. And then the campaign takes place in 3 parts. The first part is you get the intelligence, you discover what's happening. The second phase is you go to the space station and try and reactivate it and get what you need to do it. And the third phase is you actually go and set it up and blow it off and try and destroy these fleets. So 3 acts, 3 different like thrusts of the story, and that's how it's divided up. So part 1, part 2, part 3, and I'm not gonna get too into them. I'm just gonna give you a flip through the art and stuff like that. That is the most like TNG, or not TNG, original series Star Trek thing I've ever seen. I don't know why, it makes me really happy. It's got a real Doctor Who vibe to it. Kev Dallimore, who does a lot of the painting for the North Star miniatures that are in these books, I don't know, I love some of what he chooses because it has a real decidedly like 70s or 80s feel to it. And then your epilogue, which I won't show you, and then new rules, so like fighting underwater. I love this hard suit miniature. It is very cool. It looks almost like a cobblestone mini, I don't know. But definitely a Kev Dallimore paint job. And this guy's got a real like Mutant Chronicles Warzone feel to him. I think that's from the plastics. And the guys in the back are. And then technology. Displacer button. A canine laser. You stick a laser on your dog? It's my laser dog. It's my dog that barks and shoots lasers at you. That's also a really cool miniature. Look at that sniper. That's a really cool model. I think these are like metals to augment the plastics, it looks like. They're just kind of like specialist models. Giant scorpions, and yeah, so you get the Agavora snake, a barbarian Horat rider. I'm not saying he's a Tusken Raider, but he's kind of a Tusken Raider. Barbarian scouts, techno barbarians, barbarian warriors. I like that they just like straight up have like a feudal world where there's barbarians that are gonna go attack you. It's very Star Trek. It's very space opera. Like you can tell Joe had a ton of fun writing this as space opera and being like, let's just throw in all the crazy rogue trader stuff we could possibly think of. Have feudal worlds, have all kinds of stuff. And then some special characters that happen in the game. Combat drones. The Drix Nomad, another special character. Big mutants, Grothic spawn. A mega crustacean. A radioactive abomination. I like that it's got space zombies too. It makes me happy. A slaver bot and a rad roach. And a little bit more art. And some attributes for different, like a giant roar, stopping to eat if you kill something. Guns that are non-lethal, being immune to radiation, just stuff for the campaign and stuff as well. These are some great miniatures. The female crew miniatures, again, the plastics are fantastic. I really like those models, and those are great paint jobs. I like the one with just like the boonie cap on too. It's got like a watch cap. That's really nice. And that's it. So there you go. Painting. Dave Woodward painted some of these too, so I shouldn't say it was all Kev Dallimore, but he has a very specific paint style. It looks like it's been emulated as well. And that's it. Kev did all the photography though. So there you go. It's all Kev. All the pictures are Kev. And that's the end. So Hope Eternal, again, I don't want to spoil, I gave you the sort of like the nuts and bolts of the story. I don't want to spoil it too much. But you go to all kinds of different planets. You end up on a space station. And then you end up in a big sort of like final showdown where you're trying to blow up these 2 pirate fleets to like save the day. Very much like dropping a castle out of the sky at the end of Thaw the Lich Lord. This is Joe at his best. It's kind of consumable content. It tells a story, it tells an adventure, it lets you go on a journey, either with a friend or by yourself. And I know that as he is a huge fan of like tabletop role playing, this is the stuff he loves writing, and you can tell from the way he wrote the story in here that he enjoyed writing this. And I think it shows in the outcome and stuff too. So if you're a Stargrave fan, if you're playing Stargrave, especially if you're like building your own personal collection, like for me in the beginning, Stargrave was like a passion project painting Rogue Trader miniatures. Which I loved, that feeling of like high campy space opera. This is exactly the right kind of thing for that sort of a game, and I'll definitely be playing through it in the near future, collecting the scenarios. What I might do is, again, because Christian's such a huge Rogue Trader fan, maybe we'll do like an old school thing, and we'll collectively like do like an arc, and he'll record an arc with me, and then we'll go on that adventure, and then come back and do it again. I can have a cast of characters, maybe 3 different players for each of the arcs. And we'll go through and see if we can blow up these space pirate fleets, these chaos pirate fleets, towards the end of the thing. But I'm excited about this. This will be a great winter project, like one of those just for me projects where I get to do everything like with a certain bent that makes me happy, and of course the throwback bent is the thing that makes me happy for the space opera stuff. So big thanks to Osprey for sending me the book to check out, and you guys for watching. I hope you, if you're a big fan of Stargrave, get some enjoyment out of this. Talks out Mash. Happy gaming. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continue to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Game of Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.